624. Well, the Council on Islamic or I should say American Islamic Relations, coming out with a report saying that the nation's largest Muslim civil rights group is now saying that there's been an unprecedented backlash, I should say, and discrimination targeting the nation's Muslim community. It's Islamophobia is what they call it. Let's talk about exactly what's happening here. Dr. Mike Smalley joins us, a religion expert, the founder and president of the Worldreach Ministries. He crusades, all over the world, Africa, Central America. Dr. Smalley, great to have you here.
Great to be back with you.
Yeah, MikeSmalley.com. So when you're, let's say, in Africa, do you bump into, and you're trying to set up a church, do you bump into Muslims or people trying to convert people into Islam too?
Usually in West Africa, you have a little bit of it. It's not as concentrated in Eastern Africa where we usually work, but we have it. And to be honest, it's such a large religion. It just depends on what pocket of the earth you're in, on how militant they are back toward you.
Have you ever found yourself threatened by Islamists when you're especially in Africa doing this work?
No, we never have. We haven't had any threats at all. Not anything dangerous or physical. You always have people that may complain about our coming in, but it's never been anything life-threatening that we know of.
Yeah. And now, what do you make of this report by CARE? I should say CARE also, they do have ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, so they do have a history here in the U.S. But, they're saying, and they put out a whole list of different things that have been happening in mosques all over the country. Do you believe that Muslims are being targeted here because of their religion after the attack?
I don't think they're being targeted unfairly. No, I don't. I saw a little poster the other day. It was, of course, meant to be a joke about a serious point, but it said it's not Islamophobia when they really do want to kill you. Mm-hmm. I think that people should be cautious. When you have if somebody in your neighborhood was robbing homes every day at noon and they caught a picture of the person and it was an elderly gentleman at age 75, well, and every gentleman about that age and that description would be questioned by the police probably. So it's not discrimination. It's just common sense. So when you have 100% of all terrorists are Muslims at this point, it just makes sense to be cautious. And there's so many of them in sleeper cells that you have to be cautious. It's just common sense.
Tell me this, though, because you're obviously a religious man yourself. Well, what's your view on Islam as a religion? How do you view it?
Meaning, do I think it's dangerous, or do I think it's?
The Muslims say it's a religion of peace. Let's start with that. Do you believe that for most that's the case?
No, if you follow it, the tenets, literally, it's not a peaceful religion because it calls for the annihilation of anyone that doesn't convert to the Islamic belief system. Mm-hmm. So I think what needs to happen, which many have talked about, when we have attacks like in Paris and you have total city shutdowns like we're having right now in Brussels and other places, the silence is almost deafening from the quote-unquote moderate Muslim community. Very few of them come out and really chastise and condemn terrorism acts. And so it lends to the belief system that if push comes to shove, Muslims will be Muslims before they're American. They'll be Muslims before they're, cooperate with the authorities, et cetera. And so the Islamic community that says they're peaceful would help their cause a lot more if they were militantly campaigning and condemning these types of terroristic attacks.
Well, let me ask you, you're based down there in Texas, and have you met with any imams in your area?
Not with the imams personally. I just flew in about an hour ago from Columbus, Ohio, which has about the second largest Muslim population in the United States after the Detroit area. And, because it is such a large religion, as you know, 1 billion plus people, there are some the imams who will talk to you, and they're very, very kind, and they're cordial. Others are just the exact opposite. So it depends on what part of the country you're in. But the bottom line is, if you take that religion literally, it's not a religion of peace. And even if you, are
you saying you haven't been to one of these kind of interfaith type gatherings where there are all kinds of leaders like imams and folks, Christians like yourself? You've never been involved in something like that before? Or?
Not on the public platform where I'm speaking with them. Usually we're there in a dialogue sense or a roundtable type meeting. not where I share the platform to speak with.
Now, the word Islamophobia, what does that mean to you when people say that it's a problem here?
When I hear people talk about it being a problem, it's always usually people who are leaning left liberally from a political standpoint, or they're Muslims themselves. Mm-hmm. And when you really look at their argument, what it boils down to is they don't like the fact that they're being scrutinized for being a part of a belief system that's killing people. And everybody has a right to protect themselves. I rode on the airplane today with a Buddhist monk behind me and a lady in a full burqa to my right, mm-hmm. and was, obviously kind to both of them. So, until we have a specific reason to suspect a specific person, everyone should love their neighbors yourself and show kindness. But at the same time, one of the ways you love your neighbors yourself is you be protective over people who are here potentially to want to hurt us. Mm. So I would be very
how do you see Christianity and Islam coexisting peacefully in the U.S. moving forward? Do you think that is something that can happen?
That all depends on if the Islamic community wants it to, because Christianity, of course, is not a violent religion when it's followed. Jesus taught, turn the other cheek, love your neighbors yourself. And there's certainly some weirdos out there who do bad things in the name of Christianity, but it's probably half of 1% of the total worldwide people who call themselves Christians. So certainly Christians welcome sitting down talking to anybody of a different belief system or persuasion. But here again, if you follow the teachings of Islam, as they're taught in the Quran, it calls for the death penalty for anyone who doesn't convert to their teaching. Okay,
and so as Christians, what do you think the appropriate way to confront that is then?
Well, you just you're saying the same as you would any day. You just get up and live, and you live the gospel. You share God's word with people. Love your neighbors yourself, and at the same time, from an American perspective, you stay smart. You stay aware of what's around you. You can be nice to every one of your neighbors, but if you found out your next door neighbor was moving in 3 tigers in the backyard and you had a 5-year-old daughter who played outside, you'd be a little different. So it's just being smart and understanding that from a civil perspective, elections matter. Who you vote into office matters. Who we let immigrate here matters. Right. All of that is a part of what Christians and people who aren't even a faith should be thinking about in the coming weeks and months as we move into a more violent season than ever before.
Dr. Mike Smalley, MikeSmalley.com is the website, founder and president of Worldreach Ministries, I should say. Dr. Smalley, thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yep.